Intro. Slow, deep, contemplative suffering is one of the few experiences shared by every human being. It is universal, inescapable, and profoundly shaping. Yet, most people move through life without ever questioning where their suffering truly comes from. They blame circumstances, other people, bad luck, or fate. But the Stoics believed something radically different, that suffering does not arise from the world outside us, but from the world within us. In this video, we will explore a truth that might shift the way you look at every pain, disappointment, and emotional wound you have ever carried. This is the Stoic truth you have ignored perhaps for your entire life. Section 2. Firmer. Teaching tone. The Stoics taught that life itself is neutral. Events happen, seasons change, people come and go, fortunes rise and fall. But the meaning you assign to these events creates your emotional world. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." If this is true, then your suffering is not caused by what happens, but by the way you interpret what happens. This realization can feel uncomfortable at first because it means accepting responsibility for your inner world. But it also means something empowering. You have far more control over your peace than you think. Section 3. Steady. Guiding. Consider the Stoic teaching on control. Epictetus divided life into two categories: things within your control and things outside it. The source of most suffering, he said, is confusing one for the other. You desire the approval of others, but you cannot control their thoughts. You try to keep everything stable, but the world constantly changes. You want your plans to unfold perfectly, but life rarely obeys your expectations. The moment you cling to what is not yours to command, suffering arises. Stoicism is not about eliminating desires or becoming numb. It is about directing your energy only toward what you can genuinely influence: your thoughts, your character, your actions, and your chosen response to events. Section 4. Slow, clear, explanatory. Let us examine the three major roots of suffering, according to Stoic philosophy. The first is expectation. You suffer not because something happened, but because it violated the image you built in your mind. You expected someone to stay, but they left. You expected success, but faced failure. You expected fairness, but the world delivered its own version of reality. When you expect life to match your script, you set yourself up for emotional collapse. The Stoics trained themselves to accept life as it is, not as they wished it to be, and from that acceptance came a calm inner strength. The second root is resistance to reality. When something painful occurs, many people fight the truth of the moment. They replay conversations, argue with fate, or run from the emotions rising within them. But resisting what has already happened only deepens the suffering. Pain becomes heavier when you refuse to let it move through you. The Stoics practiced a form of inward surrender, not giving up, but aligning with the truth of the moment. They believed that what stands in the way becomes the way. Reality may not bend, but your spirit can learn to flow with it. The third root of suffering is the belief that life should be fair. This expectation creates bitterness, disappointment, and a sense of personal injustice. The Stoics reminded themselves daily that the universe is not built around human desires. Nature operates according to its own order, and events unfold with their own logic. When you let go of the belief that life owes you anything, You stop feeling like a victim of existence. Instead, you gain the freedom to engage with life as it is unpredictable, imperfect, but full of meaning for the one who accepts it. Section 5. Reflective, low, intimate. Now, let us turn inward. Ask yourself, what am I suffering from right now? Is it the event itself? Or is it the meaning I have attached to the event? Is it the behavior of another person or my desire for them to behave differently? Is it the passing of time or my resistance to the natural cycles of life? Stoicism teaches that no external event can harm your soul unless you give it permission. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your inner world is shaped not by force, but by awareness." When you become conscious of your thoughts, judgments, and emotional patterns, you gain the ability to shift them. You may not be able to change the past or control others, but you can control how you interpret what happens. You can choose thoughts that strengthen rather than weaken you. You can release expectations that lead to disappointment. You can open yourself to reality instead of fighting it. In this shift lies the end of unnecessary suffering. Section 6. Steady, grounded, practical. To help integrate this Stoic principle into your daily life, try a simple 1-minute exercise. First, write down something that is currently causing you stress, pain, or emotional tension. Do not write a long explanation, just a single sentence that captures the core of the issue. Next, draw a line down the page, dividing it in two. On the left side, list all the aspects of the situation that you cannot control. On the right side, list what you can control: your attitude, your decisions, your words, or your next step. You will almost always find that the majority of your pain sits on the left side. Now, take one conscious breath and redirect your attention entirely to the right side. This is where your power lies. This is where change begins. When practiced daily, this exercise trains your mind to release what is not yours to hold. Over time, your emotional landscape becomes more stable, more centered, and more resilient. Instead of being tossed around by circumstances, you become grounded in something unshakable, your own inner strength. Conclusion: slow, warm, resolute. The truth is that suffering has a purpose. It is not a punishment, but a message. It shows you where you are attached, where you resist, where you demand control, and where you have forgotten your own power. Stoicism does not promise a life without pain. It promises a life where pain becomes a teacher instead of a tyrant. When you meet suffering with awareness, humility, and courage, it transforms into wisdom, and wisdom brings peace. As we close, remember this: you do not suffer because the world is cruel. You suffer because you cling to illusions about how the world should be. When you learn to let go, the world no longer has the power to wound you deeply. You become like a steady flame in the wind, moving, flickering, but never extinguished. The Stoic truth you have ignored is simple, yet profound. Your suffering is born within you, and so is your liberation. Look inward, take ownership of your inner life, and let your suffering guide you back to yourself. The path of Stoicism is not easy, but it is the path of freedom, clarity, and unshakable peace. When you embrace this truth, you do not escape life, you finally begin to live it.